Hi, I'm Hendrik, and today I will be teaching you how to make perfect breakfast rolls ready in time for breakfast. So today we're making breakfast rolls, and I really love breakfast rolls, and they're actually pretty easy to make. And the recipe for this is pretty much a basic white bread recipe with a few optional ingredients. But what's really so nice about this recipe is the technique to get the breakfast rolls ready for breakfast, obviously. So here are our ingredients. I'm just using white bread flour. You could use very strong white bread flour if you wanted to, but this is just really nice organic white bread flour. 500 grams of that. That will make 6 good-sized breakfast rolls. Of course you need yeast. I'm using a tablespoon. You could use fresh yeast if you wanted to, or just one of these sachets, that you can get for 500 grams of flour. Salt, obviously, just a tablespoon of that as well. We'll be using a tablespoon of honey too, to give it a bit of a sweet edge. 2 tablespoons of oil, because oil I find really makes dough softer, sort of nicer. It's really good for breakfast rolls, really. And yeah, we'll also be adding some sunflower seeds into our dough. This is optional, but I really like it for breakfast rolls. And later you'll see we'll be putting some other seeds on top. We'll be coating our breakfast rolls in other seeds like poppy seeds, sesame seeds, and linseeds. Well, our dough has been kneading in the KitchenAid for about 5 minutes. You could also just, do this by hand. It's perfectly easy and, no problem, but the KitchenAid is just really handy for that. So I don't have to do anything anymore. I'm just going to take out our dough. Put some flour in my hands. Oh, it's quite wet. Good tip, if your dough is a bit wet, just use a spatula to get it out. There's also a very clean way of getting it out. So now I'm just shaping this this dough into a nice tight round to let it rise until it doubles in size. So it's very easy to do. You just take the edges, put them in. So now I'm just going to put some flour back into here. You could use any kind of container you want. And some more flour onto our dough so it doesn't stick. Back in here. I'm going to put a kitchen cloth on here and leave it somewhere warm to rest for between half an hour and an hour until it doubles in size. Here's our dough. As you can see, it's doubled in size, so now I'm just going to take it out, deflate it, as you always do, and then I'm just going to separate it into 6 pieces for 6 breakfast rolls. And now, very easy, we're just going to do the same tight round shaped ball, but just smaller. It's a bit awkward, but as you can see, it works. And then I'm just gonna put each breakfast roll onto one of my silicone sheets. You could use just ordinary baking paper, whatever. And now to our last bit of prep before we put our breakfast rolls into the fridge. This is optional, but in a way it's really essential for breakfast rolls. I'm showing you how to put seeds onto the breakfast rolls. So I'm showing you a really handy technique. Here I've got a plate and I put a clean kitchen towel on it, and I'm just going to put some warm water on it. Not too much, just really so that the kitchen towel is nice and wet. Okay. So here we've got our plate with the poppy seeds, and now we're going to take one of our rolls, just lift it, and we're first going to roll it onto the wet kitchen cloth. Now this technique is really great because you don't need a bowl or anything, and you just get the amount of liquid that the roll really needs to get wet so that the poppy seeds will stick onto it nicely. So you're trying to get as much on it as you can, just on one side. Here we go. Looks really nice. Trying to get it back into shape a bit. I'm going to do one more. Now you couldn't use oil instead of water, because if you use oil, well, at first the seeds will stick to the dough, but when it's baked afterwards they will fall off very easily. So you will need some kind of liquid like water, which I find is the easiest, but you could also use milk if you wanted to. But yeah, I find just water is very good for this. And it's such a handy way to do it. So now we're done with our breakfast rolls, and they look amazing already. So now I'm just going to cover them with a new clean kitchen cloth, and they're ready to go into the fridge, and they're going to spend all night in the fridge, and tomorrow morning we just have to put them in the oven. It's really simple. Well, good morning everybody. It's time to put our breakfast rolls into the oven. So I'm just going to take them out of the fridge now. So they've risen nicely, as you can see. I've got a warm baking tray, and I'm just going to slide them over somehow if possible. This warm baking tray really gives our breakfast rolls a nice lift, and then they're ready to go into the oven at 250 degrees for just about 10 minutes. About 10 minutes have passed, and it's time to get our rolls out. Whew. Go. It's perfect. Here's our end result, these amazing breakfast rolls. And in the morning, well, it only takes me about half an hour for the whole process. So it takes me 20 minutes to get my oven ready to 250 degrees Celsius, and 10 minutes, to bake it. So that's pretty good, for breakfast rolls in the morning. Of course, if you have one of those cool ovens that you can set for a certain time, even better. But I think in general this is a perfect technique slash recipe for breakfast rolls for everybody really. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you give it a go.